Welcome everybody to Relationship Fun and Games,
And Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV.
and we're here with episode 2 of Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV, and we're going to be talking about how to keep the sex dirty before.
Yes, and we're really excited today to have Ben and Jen Rohde. And due to some fun miscommunications, they're actually on an adventure today, and they have stepped away from their family adventure to be here with us. And I'm so glad because they are such a gorgeous couple from the content that they're doing and teaching out there in the world, or actually just even seeing who they are as a couple, happy, sexy, into each other. It's just a delight to have you guys on here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thanks for
guys.
having us
Yeah,
here.
we're at Harry Potter land right now,
We are in the middle of magic.
and we've got our magic wands.
And all our
And
Gryffindor
You can imagine
merchandise.
what we've done with it.
And you all
all
said
kinds of dirty things.
you said that it was your anniversary, right?
4 years.
For a year.
So
Awesome.
we met 4 years and 1 month ago, and got married 4 years ago. We got married a month
Yeah,
after
on
we
that
met.
note, why don't you tell us how you met? That's, we're going to get into your tips, and we're going to share with everyone else tonight, our tip for how to keep the sex dirty before. But we want to give people a sense of who you are. So, and we love the falling in love stories. So tell us how you met.
Yeah, so we met at a friend's house. She invited both of us over to come to an event, and we were the only two that accepted the offer, and we showed up, and I knew that the one was about to walk in the door before she walked in the door, and she knew too. It was an energy we could feel. We could feel the vibration. The hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I said, "Oh shit." I said, "Oh shit," and I said, "Hi, I'm Ben," and we got married 32 days later.
Yeah, we both knew right away. We both felt each other before we even saw each other.
Yeah, so she moved in with me 30 days to the day after that, and what took so long was that she had a boyfriend of 5.5 years, so it was a good guy, but when you know, you know.
When you know,
But
you
not
know.
the right match.
Yeah.
When It's so true. I mean, it's the cliche. They just say, people say, how do you know? How do you know? And the answer you always hear is, you just know.
You
And we
just
joke
know.
that Raj and I would joke that our relationship happened in dog years because we, at 12 weeks, moved in together. But you guys, 30 days, that's pretty impressive.
12 weeks is good. 12 weeks is good, though.
Yeah.
Good, that's good.
It's good.
It was pretty clear. It was one of those things, though, that the intuition, the body was telling me, this is it. And my mind kept saying, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So, because we had a messy relationship.
We had a lot to work through.
We had a lot to work through. When people come up to us now and say, what is it that you guys have? I want a relationship like yours. My first response to them is, it didn't start like this.
Neither did ours.
Are you sure you want
Neither
this?
did ours. Neither did ours. Honestly, the first 3 months of our marriage were really tough. I mean, it was brutal. I was a preschool teacher, a special ed teacher when we met. He was a mailman, and we both decided to quit our jobs, start this business with $600 in our bank account total, nothing to fall back on, and we just jumped right into life purpose. And so and it brought up, a lot of our stuff. Our sex life was horrible in the beginning. We had totally different sexual styles. I had trauma, intimacy issues, tons of stuff coming up. So we nearly, in the first 3 months, we nearly divorced. I don't even know how many times.
I was not used to being in relationships. That was not something I was comfortable with. So feeling trapped in a relationship was, bringing up all of my intimacy issues. So all of our stuff came up in the first few months, and at the time we were wondering, why me? Why do we have
This is so painful. This is
why
so
do we have to go
horrible.
through this? And
We were really, killing each other's old identities and rebirthing.
But here's why we had to go through it. It's because now people say, "Oh, you guys have the perfect relationship. My relationship's hard."
Or they'll say, "Oh, you guys always had a honeymoon period," and I'm like, there was no honeymoon period.
Straight to work.
There was
Straight
no
to work,
the honeymoon.
bitches.
We're having the honeymoon period now, 4 years later.
Wow.
We did
Right?
not start with a honeymoon.
It's
Now
so
he's starting to
comforting
get
to
work.
hear. It's comforting to hear in an odd way, because we similarly, as Gabby said, had a very rough start, and there's one part of us that was like, why the heck are we doing this? Is this the right person? And everyone would say to you, like, you're going to therapy before you're getting married? What are you doing? And I love what you're saying, that your honeymoon is now. Like, what an awesome thing to be honeymooning, 4 years in, instead of like, I can't stand spending time with you, right?
Yeah, there's that
Oh, yeah.
cliche that, things start out hot and then they cool. And Raj and I have been really
Old
committed to the
paradigm.
opposite model. It started bumpy, but it just keeps getting better and better. And we play these games so that we're pretty much guaranteed that our relationship, physically, emotionally, is just going to keep getting better and
Mentally,
better and better.
spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect.
Yep.
What
We
is
totally
it that
agree.
had you know to work through that? Can you pinpoint that at all?
Yeah,
Or?
well, it was a necessity. We had created structure around us that did not make it easy to get out of a relationship. For example, we got tattoo
Nice.
wedding rings. We couldn't throw them together. Like I said, we quit our jobs. She moved in with me.
We had, we weren't making money the first 3 months of our business, but we were flooded with clients. So we just didn't have a business model that was making money.
We had no money to give
So
back
we had no money to give back, but
if we were to cancel on our clients.
right. So, but we had a lot of clients, so we also had to we had to work together. That was the other piece of it, actually.
So the kind of partners, the kind of couples we work with, we call them sovereign partnership, right? It's life partners in life purpose. So people like us, people like you, that are life partners, continually growing together, committed to each other's growth. And so for these kinds of partnerships, it requires three things to stick with it, right? Trust, commitment, and surrender, right? So trust often, we have first, like, oh, whoa, that's definitely the person. And then it requires commitment at some point when everything starts going to shit. What the hell am I thinking, right? You want to run, but you got to commit to it.
Commitment
And then
to following
eventually
through, doing the hard
that
stuff.
leads to surrendering to higher self. I have to surrender every day to her vision of my higher self, right? So what she sees right here that I can't see, if I'm not measuring up to that, she holds me to it, and it's my job to surrender to that version of my higher self so that I can become my best self. And of course, at the beginning, we just wanted to hold on to our old selves.
Right. Now it's a fun game. Like, how can we help? It's like, how can we help each other grow? Now we make a game out of
I
it.
call it the golden finger.
Yeah. In the
The
beginning.
golden finger, like when someone you love, you trust them, you know they want the best for you, they have some perspective. You see the magic finger, there you go. You've got a wand now. You're like, what I see for you is.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear you share all that, Ben, because I would often share with my brother when he would say, how do you know? And I say that, well, there's no other woman that would help me live into the biggest or most expansive, possibility for me in my life. And often the response is, well, it shouldn't be that hard, and it's challenging to live in.
When people say it shouldn't be that hard, I say, but wonderful's worth it.
That's true.
And if you really, when people say it's hard, I often think it's because they don't invest. We were talking beforehand about people being proactive in their relationship. That mostly people just wait for this drift, this default, until there's a real problem that you have to dig yourself out of. And then who wants to deal with that? That's no fun. But if you're spreading out your intention and attention and action in your relationship, then it becomes play. It goes out of the work category and into the play. Instead of going, we need to talk, Raj and I like to say, let's play a game. Like if he has a complaint or something he doesn't like that I'm doing, that's what he says to me. I know, let's play a game.
I have to do training.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah, here's the thing about relationships is, we've got a 50% divorce rate in the U.S. And we on our group call today, Jen said, and it should probably be higher.
It should probably be higher because most people are miserable. Yeah.
Most people don't know how to choose a relationship in the first place, and people are resisting having a difficult relationship, but that just means they keep it numb. Right? They sweep shit under the rug, they don't deal with it, and then they blow up and have a divorce. So we say, like, you got to kill each other. You got to kill the old version. And here's the difference between a good relationship and a bad relationship. A bad relationship is when you try to make each other be someone they're not.
Right.
A good relationship is when you want them to be their highest self, right? So
Say that one again. You got to emphasize that one, Ben. Please say that again.
A bad so yeah, this is something that most people don't understand. It's a small little understanding. A bad relationship is when you want the other person to be someone they're not, and a good relationship is a sovereign partnership is where you want them to be the best version of themselves, and you hold them to that best version of themselves. Yep. And so it is work at first. It's work. It's like building a scaffolding on a building, right? It's like once you have the scaffolding and you do the construction, then you can take the scaffolding away, and you've got the tools. And now we have the best relationship we could possibly ever imagine having in our entire life. And we both had lots of relationships. But this is like the first, like there's nothing that could ever happen to our relationship. There's a 100% chance that we are going to stay married, right? Because we know how to work through it, and we're constantly every single day building each other up to our higher selves. We make each other feel like kings and queens every single goddamn day. Yeah. There's not a day where we go or we feel like we weren't loved enough, or like I don't miss a chance to swat her on the ass as she walks by and tell her how gorgeous she is. Jump on her.
He's always hitting on me. Yeah, and the thing is, it's like building a foundation. Like if you were to imagine building the foundation of a home, it takes forever. No, it's not fun. Nobody likes doing it. But the thing is, when you build a solid foundation in your relationship, then you've always got it. And you've got those tools. You return to those tools. And then if you think about building a building, like the foundation, laying it takes a long time, but then everything else goes up really, really quickly, right? And that's exactly what happened for Ben and I. The laying of the foundation was the hard part. It's nobody wants to do it. It's putting yourself out there. It's going deep. It's not being afraid to speak your truth. It's being passionate. People are afraid of intensity and passion because they don't know how to wield it and they don't know how to handle it. But, the truth is your passion, even if you're angry and you're pissed off at your partner, if you know how to wield that property, like Ben and I, every time we get angry, there's that rule that you've heard where people will say, well, don't sleep with someone if you're in a fight or whatever. I don't believe in that. I say, if you're fighting, go fuck it out. Go. It's passion, One of the things.
Don't worry, we're at the bar at Harry Potter Land.
Yeah, we're at the bar at Harry Potter Land. It's your passion, right? And so many couples come to us, and sometimes they're married 10, 20, 30 years. When's the last time you guys, different people, it plays out different, but a lot of times the passion's gone because people are not communicating. They're afraid to get in a fight. They're afraid to say something that's going to hurt or offend their partner. And they're so afraid of it that their passion's completely dissolved, So it's just laying the foundation. It's having the tools in place. It's
using the energy. It's knowing how to use the energy.
It's wielding the energy and having the tools in place so you know how to communicate about it. Like, this is what's coming up for me. This is what I want. This is what I desire. And being able to communicate. This is what
Ben, let's see that wand again. Wielding that energy. Where's your wand? That's going to come in very handy, I can tell.
Awesome.
You did some magic. We're role playing. We've already got a role play Harry Potter for later tonight. We've got the whole thing planned out. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
We've got the outfit in this
we've got the outfit,
magical bag
socks,
right here.
We've got the knee highs. Like, we got the whole.
Nice.
Fantastic. All right, we need to hang out with you guys more.
Yes.
All right, well,
come to Costa Rica.
Yeah,
what a fun start to our okay, what a fun start to our show. We're gonna talk a little bit about more how we organize our content and share one of our topics for tonight, and then we're gonna get back to some awesome tips from Ben and Jen. So let me just get my screen sharing here.
That was it.
That's all we got.
That was it.
All right, bye everybody. Back to Harry Potter Land.
And we're screen sharing right now, Ben, so if you want to turn off your video for the moment.
Batteries.
So far it seems to be all right, but yeah, save some of your battery.
Okay, so for those of you who might be new to our Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV show and our content, we heard at our wedding when we were asking for advice around what's your top tip to having a great marriage? One couple said to us, just keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. And we had no idea that that would actually lead to this program, 3-4 years down the line. And so we decided to do that. And what we further did was break our content into these different time frames, before, as it starts, during, and after, for both fights clean and sex dirty, because you need tips for these different phases. What you do when you're in a fight is different than what you do before a fight. When you're getting hot and heavy, starting out with sex, is different than when you're in the midst of sex or after. So that describes a little bit of how we organize our content, and on our website and also our blogs, our TV shows are all organized that way, so you can find the tip that best applies to what you need in the moment. So today we're focusing on how to keep the sex dirty before.
Yes, because again, we're all about being proactive, and so while there are tips for before, as it starts, during, and after, we have a special affinity for this topic of the beforehand, because again, as we said earlier, it doesn't have to be work. It can be, especially at first, when you don't have a particular skill, but the more you do it, a little bit here, a little bit there, it gets easier and easier until it comes much more naturally for you. And also, we often talk about, specifically as related to sex, you want to have these short on-ramps. You don't, life can get so busy. You don't want to be dragged, into have to be, get from place A to place B to get to be passionate again. You want to have these short, easy on-ramps. I think Jen, you said something like, he's hitting on me all the time. Adam Galad calls that 24-hour foreplay. That this before time is so important, even before the seduction.
So one other thing I just wanted to let our viewers know is that around 6 o'clock, halfway through the show, we're going to open up the Hangout for you to join live if you want, and ask either Ben and Jen or us any questions that you want and get engaged in the conversation. And if you do that, you'll get our Fights Clean, Sex Dirty cheat sheet for free.
Yes, absolutely. So let's look at tonight's topic. Well, just to let you know a little bit about that cheat sheet, there's about a little over a dozen tips, really just summarized into 1 or 2 sentences. So, I have a couple printed in my wallet. So when in doubt, you just pull it out, quick reference. I know that when you need the help the most is when you can think the least clearly. So I love having this little quick cheat sheet on hand of like, okay. In fact, Raj and I got in a fight a year or so ago, and I remember saying to him, we've got 36 distinctions, choose one. So this makes choosing one easy.
There's a little bit more anger when she said it.
Yeah, good. There's a little bit more.
Okay, great. So let's share a little bit about Ben and Jen. So
yes,
people know.
A little bit more about their background. So we mentioned the Rhodey Institute, and this is an educational center. And they're advancing their spiritual partnership, sexuality, and spirituality. I love the depth and breadth that they bring to relationship. Some relationship work, when they talk about the sex, it can be all very technical or all very energetic. But I really love that you're bringing this, you bring play, you bring sex, you bring personal development, and all of this together. And you do this through coaching, being motivational speakers. You're all over the world leading relationship experts, living in Costa Rica now. I know you've got an awesome event coming up in Sedona that maybe you can let people know about at the end of the show. But just in general, absolutely, it says here, and so true, cutting-edge spiritual teachers, just doing it so well and doing it with a spirit of fun, which I just love. Now, they both created Explosive Sexual Healing, which is revolutionizing sexual healing and really redefining it for the modern age. Where we are sexually now and spiritual partnership, marriage, sex is not what it was. Forget 100 years ago, even 10 years ago, it seems like there's so much changing now. And being that this is complicated, they're here, like us, to help. They're just totally passionate. I like to say we love love, and I feel that from you too as well. Yeah. That you make it your mission to really bring these couples together. You said sovereign, this co-creative partnership. And I love that you added in here in your bios the advancement of humanity. Like, love is not just for the love's sake, but it's what makes us human. And that we actually can connect with our humanity and advance humanity by connecting with our love.
Yeah, and our pleasure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can find out more about what Ben and Jen have to offer at sovereignu.com. The URL is here, and we'll also get that typed into the comment window.
Yep, and if you're listening, it's SOVEREIGNYOU.com, sovereignu.com. And we're going to give you another website actually at the end of the show with a treat from them. Just one of their awesome programs that you won't want to miss out on. So stay tuned for that.
So we're going to quickly do a review of some of the tips that we've done in this area of keeping the sex dirty before, and then just focus in on our specific tip for the day, and then we're going to get back to hearing some awesome tips from Ben and Jen. So
yeah, we heard a few already, and I know that in the moment we're going to get some fun, juicy ones popping up as well.
So our first tip, and these are 1.1 means season 1, episode 1, if you want to find these TV shows in our video library.
Yep, you can go to our episode library at relationshipfunandgames.com, and that's /FCSDTV for Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV. So in season 1, we talked about mastering mini seductions. Oh, and by the way, you can also go back and find these as blogs. So we do the shows, but they're as blogs. To just find what's most important, what you're most intrigued by, consider it like an avenue you're perusing and just seeing what's up this street. And then in the second season, we talked about initiating inertia, just do something, do anything. And then last season, we talked about building trust for better sex and how if there's any gap between your trust and it's really going to impact your sex life as well. So you can check out those episodes or check out those past blogs. And tonight, for season 4, we have a new tip for you. What's that, Raj?
Well, also just wanted to point to our website so you know how to navigate and find these blog articles. All of these different blog articles you can find under the blog navigation, and we have the Fights Clean and Sex Dirty categories.
Yep. It really, when we started surveying couples, that's what all of their complaints came down to, and all of their desires came down to falling into either one of those 2 categories. So the category tonight, Sex Dirty Before, is hot by habit. And Raj and I, we really love to apply business practices to our relationship and relationship practices to business. You can watch tonight's episode. We're sending, hopefully you're seeing this live so you can get the free treats and you can also get your questions answered. But if you're watching this by replay, you can go ahead and take this link here. And Sarah's our moderator. If you could put that in the comments. That's the tip of the week in the video version. But applying these business practices, these habits, this is a book that Raj and I read this last year that we were just floored by. You may have heard it. It was on the bestseller list, but The Power of Habit. And, the tagline is why we do what we do in life and in business. And he even has some chapters specifically on relationship.
And you may have heard this before if you've been into personal development work, but your life is basically made up of a bunch of habits that you have, and a lot of those are unconscious habits that you formed early on in your life, and they stick with us. And if you want to change your life, they often say, change your habits.
Yes, so your habits are your life is what the research is basically saying, that, if you want to change something in your life, look at what the bad habits are, quote-unquote bad habits are that you have, and then what are the habits that you want to bring forward in your life. Now, the important thing to know about habits is there are 3 parts to it. There are the cues, which is the place where you have the most ability to make shifts. There's the routine, and that is, when you're the actual action of doing the habit. And then there's the reward, how you feel about it afterwards. And you might think, oh, with these bad habits, there's no reward, there's actually a pain. But interestingly enough, as humans, we actually get payoffs.
Awesome.
We actually get payoffs, from these habits. And that kind of keeps the loop going round and round and round.
We were just laughing because Ben flashed a little video of Jen doing a little pole dancing. I think that may have been a heat lamp.
There you go. There she is. Welcome to the bar in Wonderland, everybody.
Keeping it playful. Keeping it playful.
If you were listening live, you might wish that you were viewing us.
You might wish that you were viewing. Yeah, absolutely. This is a good habit, a habit of being playful here. So, but the important thing about this habit that we want you to know is that if you change the cue, you can change the habit. And this is why, and Ben, you probably find this as well, you may have couples that you're working with or a single person comes to you and one person is more interested in doing the quote-unquote work than the other. And often I'll have people say to me, you know, can I do this on my own? And the message is actually you can. Certainly it does take two to tango, but if your life and your relationship are all about your habits, and habits are really about changing the cues, all it takes is one person to start changing the cues, and other things can start changing. The ripple effect can start changing around you. So for the keeping the sex dirty before, this is all about creating that habit of sexiness. What are the habits that get in the way of you having awesome, great sex? And what are the habits that actually move you towards having great sex? So we're going to dive in just to the action option here, and then we want to get to some of Ben and Jen's tips, which we were talking about just earlier this evening, and I'm super excited about. So if you watched the show before, you know that we have an action option for every tip, because ideas and inspiration and aha moments are great, but if you don't put it into play, it's not going to make much of a difference.
We like to do a little play with the Mission Impossible theme, right?
So your mission, your action option, should you choose to accept it, is to first take stock and actually just look in your relationship, specifically in regards to your sex life. You know, what are the 3 habits that are getting in the way, and what are the 3 new habits that you're willing to commit to?
So something like that might be watching television every night because you're tired. We actually have this little coin that says TV or sex.
Yeah, you flip the coin. It says sex on one side, TV on the other. Again, bring it in play wherever we can. So then your second step is just declare your focus. You've looked at what your patterns and your habits are, so declare your focus. And pick, you know, at least one habit to break and one habit to strengthen, to move you towards what it is that you want. When I say strengthen, I mean, you know, something that's going to strengthen your ability to enjoy that awesome sex life. Then share your list with your beloved and invite them to play. But again, don't force it. It's totally fine. You know, there is the wonder of one, the power of one. You really can make a change in your relationship. And it's important for us to take responsibility and have it be, it's my responsibility to say how our relationship goes. Because if you're waiting to have somebody else change, you're going to be pretty frustrated.
And habits are challenging to break, all right? We all know how challenging a habit can be to change. So you really want to stack the cards in your favor. And this can include anything from setting alarms, reminders, having a buddy to support you. You know, you can write things on the mirror, on your refrigerator. You may have heard of this trick of putting a rubber band on your wrist and snapping it to give you kind of that shock.
That little reminder.
And as a bonus, we have this thing about researching your most common forms of self-sabotage. Gabby, you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, actually, we have a 6-week online program that dives into this pretty deeply 1 week, but I encourage you to, there's, I don't know, at least 20 different forms of self-sabotage, and they have all been listed. So you can go ahead, Google self-sabotage and see which ones seem most familiar for you, or starting in July, you can go ahead and jump on into our 6-week course and we'll dive through that with you. But when you know what are the habits, what are the self-sabotage, knowing what gets in the way, if you can remove those things, it just makes it that much easier to naturally flow towards what you want, and in this case, what you want being an awesome, healthy, happy, and hot, as I like to say, sex life.
Now, honoring our word or doing what we said we'll do is one of the most powerful things that you can do in your life. There's an expression that you can create your life through language and your word. And if you choose to change a habit, you want to really stick to that and do what you said you would do. So even if you fall off the wagon and break your commitment to changing your habit, just get back on the horse and start over again. Gabby used to play this game of, like, she'd get to a certain point, and then if she broke her habit, you know, if she had a 30-day commitment, she'd start again.
I'd have to start all over again, yeah. So once I got halfway, I was home free because I didn't want to have to start counting my days. And I had to keep doing that until I reached 30 days in a row, because they say it takes about 32 days to make something a habit. There's all sorts of games out there on how to create habits. So, you know, I'm sure Ben and Jen have their own forms of what they do to keep their habits in place and how to take away the bad habits and start adding in new ones. Do you guys have any habits that you've developed over time that you've, or those that you've had to kind of break those habits?
New habits every day. If you click the first slide there, I'll remember what it is. That's right. There's always time for sex. So this is the most important thing for us, because it all comes down to priorities, right? Am I getting? Are you guys hearing an echo from me? I'm hearing an echo on my side.
Nope, we're hearing you fine.
I'm
We'll
going to
turn
turn
it
your
down.
volume down a little bit on our end.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Let me switch this thing out real quick.
Sure.
Okay. Much better. Thank you. So,
Okay.
nope, not better. Still getting the echo. Still getting a crazy echo.
If it doesn't
anyway,
get better, Ben, you could. If it doesn't get better, you could exit and come back into the Hangout. Sometimes that fixes it.
Okay, I might need to do that. Okay, so for now, I'll just try to talk through it. So it all comes down to priorities. People say I don't have time for sex, but they have time for TV, and they have time for talking on the phone, and they have time for taking a long time to make dinner or clean up or go shopping or whatever. Our number one priority in our life, and in big part just because we're business coaches, so it's a write-off for us. We just get to make it our number one priority is to have the best sex ever that anybody's ever had in the history of sex.
Oh, I like that. I mean, there's laying down a gauntlet. Raj and I have a commitment to have the best sex we've ever had. At least every 90 days, it has to be the best it's ever been.
Wow.
So that pretty much guarantees it's getting better and better, but never the best sex that's ever been had on the planet. And the history, I'm like, you guys are aiming for beyond excellence.
Exactly, and this is how we do every single fucking thing we do. So it's like the 4-minute mile. It's like you didn't know that that anybody could ever break the 4-minute mile, and as soon as somebody did it, everybody started doing it, right? So it's been our job to find a new level of relationship awesomeness. And some people think we're insane, but we've found everybody this level of relationship awesomeness, and we put our priority on our relationship. Our priority is our relationship and is our sex life. And if we're late for something, if we're late and if Jen's taking too long to get ready and I'm getting pissed off and I'm like, come on, babe, we're late. We were supposed to leave a half an hour ago. And she's ready. Like, we'll take an extra 5 minutes to have sex, and then we'll stroll in a little bit late and super relaxed and fun.
And in a good mood.
Rather than pissed off.
In an infectious good mood, one that is contagious. When a couple, the couples get in a fight on a drive over to a party, and then they kind of come in and they instantly go to opposite ends of the party, trying to pretend like they weren't fighting. That's more the norm, rather than a couple coming in all juiced up, oh yeah, sorry we're late.
Yeah, exactly. And even when we're out at places like this, so we go on date night every Monday. And even when we're out at places like this, we will always find a place to have sex.
Oh, yeah. We will create a place to have sex if it doesn't exist. We will find a family bathroom. Today we had sex in the changing room.
We just go around and ask, hey, where's the family bathroom?
Where's the family bathroom?
And then we go do family stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like making babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we do. And there's, we try to have sex twice a day, once in the morning, right when we wake up, first thing, to start your day off right, start your day off in love.
It's better than a cup of coffee.
And once...
we call that booty before brekkie.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
About.
Yeah. So, sex in the morning, sex at night before bed, and then we try to get a quickie in there somewhere midday, too.
Keep it going. They've done studies that people have sex more smarter, so, we're doing the world a service.
We're just so smart.
Yeah, I think deciding to have sex all the time was the smartest thing we've ever done.
I think it was, too.
So there is always time for sex. I love that, because that's one of the most common complaints is I don't have time. But we can make time. Like Raj and I, you mentioned, in the morning and at night. Raj and I are part of one of our habits. We were talking about habits. One of our habits is we call it the Sundra Water Conservation Program, and that we take our showers together every morning and every night.
It's good.
Just as a way, it's a great way to start the day, just being there together. and certainly can lead. I'm like, I don't know about their schedule, honey. That seems pretty busy, but we might have to look at our showers a little differently here. That's one great thing about doing these shows is, we're inspired too, and we end up, after one interview, oh my gosh, in the middle of fooling around, I said, I don't know what Alex said on that interview, Raj, but it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why we do this work, actually.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You create the ritual, so it's like people say they don't have time, but that's not really true. Like, it's not really true. People have time for other things. It's really, making it a priority. And, we always tell our couples, like, you have to actually put it in your schedule, like for the two of you, like, you have that ritual, which is perfect because it's like, okay, every morning you have this ritual and every night you have this ritual, right? And so, but often people actually, like, they actually need to put in their schedule because they'll say they don't have time, but you have to carve out time, right? You carve out time because here's the thing. If you're not creating the time for your sex life and for your partner, like, it's gonna cost you a lot of time and energy later when stuff isn't working and falling apart, which inevitably happens.
We always,
right?
Most of the couples that come to us, or actually in the past, not so much recently, but a lot of the couples in the past have come to us when they're on the verge of divorce.
Right.
They've been unhappy for 20 years, and we're like, dude, you should have probably done something sooner. And this brings us back to being proactive instead of reactive. And this is just everything from like I said, I never miss a chance to swat Jen's butt as she walks by. Being proactive and constantly.
He's constantly telling me how beautiful I am all day long, and like means it.
And I'm sending her my energy. Well, I can't help myself around her, right? And it's because I'm generating this inside of myself.
And I'm constantly thinking, like, how and where can I give him a blowjob? Like, it's like, it's just these simple things. Man. Well, it really is. It's these simple things that, like, if we just do, we find the space or we create the space, it maintains the relationship, right? And it can get better and better.
And so now where this philosophy of being proactive instead of reactive is best used is when you're going towards orgasm, when you're actually having sex, you're making love, and you're you could focus on anything in the world, like anything in the history or future or present universe you could be thinking about, work, kids, everything else, right? And so it's easy to say my husband can't make me orgasm, but it's not
actually his to give.
It's her orgasm, right? My husband can't give me an orgasm, right? It's her orgasm. And so, and same thing with a man. Like, there's lots of men that they can get erections watching porn, but not, in bed.
Yep.
Right? And so it's like, where's your focus going? And so this is being proactive. And so, while your husband's touching your clit, be proactive. Move your hips, move your body, use your voice, breathe into it, find the pleasure, put 100% of your attention on the pleasure, create your pleasure, generate your pleasure. What does your body need to do to create pleasure? Find the pleasure, locate the pleasure. It's there, right? Our cells are made for pleasure. These bodies, like, the only reason we're in these goddamn bodies is to experience pleasure in them, right? If not, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
So find the pleasure. Just most people are used to being reactive. I'm waiting for something to happen. It's not happening.
Someone to do something to me.
I'm not feeling the pleasure. This doesn't feel good. I'm waiting. Well, no, you got to create it. You got to move your hips into the pleasure. Locate the pleasure.
Focus on it and then move into it and then expand on it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that because we seek pleasure in so many other ways and satisfy that pleasure desire with all these other habits. And for whatever reason, we don't use sex as the satisfying thing. Whether it's chocolate or watching the TV show or whatever it is that you're doing, for whatever reason you're choosing not to use sex as that. So I really love this notion that.
Yeah, so we have a technique for this. We call it the arousal counting technique. And so, when you're having sex, you can actually count your arousal on a scale from 1 to 10 out loud, and so it's every 5 seconds or every time the number changes. So 1 being no pleasure, 10 being climax, I'm in orgasm. It usually goes 3, 4, 5, 2, right?
Oh no!
6,
Oh no! It's true.
7,
Oh no!
4, right? And it's not making yourself wrong for it. You're not trying to make a story about what the number is. You know, people often want to say, oh, well, it went down to 2, but it's because, you know, no, just you're focusing on the pleasure number. That is the only thing you're focusing on. You're focused on the pleasure. That's it. That's the only thing you're, like, if you were putting 100% of your attention on the pleasure, then 0% of your attention can be focused on anything else, right? So if you have 5% of your attention on something else, then you've got 95% of your attention on the pleasure, right? So it's just about bringing it back to 100% pleasure. And, you know, you can take this technique of just counting the number and not making meaning out of it, just noticing, right? Because if you can, you know, so we do this technique a lot for women that have never had an orgasm in their life, you know, so we give them this technique, and it's just because they don't know the steps that their body takes to get to a 10, right? But if they can find out where a 1 is, and then find out where a 2 is, then if they're a 1, they know how to get to 2, and if they're at a 2, they know how to get to 3, and then they figure out what a 4 is, and then what a 5 is, and then eventually, you know, like at this point, you know, Jen can just, like, you know, flex her leg muscles and pop herself into an orgasm. You know, it's like we can have sex and I can last for, you know, hours, or we can do a quickie in the bathroom and I can, you know, I can manage to, you know, pop one off in 5 seconds if I need to, right? It's like how much can you focus, how much intensity can you focus on one thing that you want, right?
Yeah, and it didn't start out that way. I mean, it didn't start, I just want to say, too, for anybody that's listening to this, like, it didn't start out that way for me, especially in our relationship, you know? So it's like a practice, right? It's a practice, it's a meditation, it's a process. There's no end game, there's no way to do it wrong. So, but, you know, what Ben just spoke about, if you really, really take just that, if you took nothing else from this, and really just took that and really worked with it, it is so powerful and so transformational.
And it's the same thing outside of the bedroom. Like, how much intensity can I focus on loving my wife? Like, just like the pure joy of being around her. And if I was able to find it at 50% yesterday, can I find it at 51% joy today? And can I find 52% the next day? And if I found 100% today, what's 101% feel like tomorrow, or, you know, in the next second? It's like, how, you know, this is what I'm talking about, like breaking all the records. How can I love this woman more than anybody else has ever been loved in the entire history of the universe? And that's,
you know, Ben, on that note, when you say, you know, how can I know this woman? And you had talked a little bit beforehand on our call about the 3 sexual styles and the benefit of really understanding your partner and their style. And of course, we change not just over time, but literally moment to moment, as you were saying, and counting the numbers.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about these 3 sexual styles.
Before you go into that, Ben, I just wanted to let people know they can join us live, and you can do that by clicking the button under the video player that you're watching the show on, and you may have to refresh the page to get that button live. But if you want to join us live, feel free to click that button, and if you're doing that, you're going to get the ability to ask us some questions, ask Ben and Jen questions, and we'll also give you our cheat sheet for free. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. So the 3 sexual styles, this came from a man named Jack Morin. This was in The Erotic Mind. It's an amazing book. I suggest everybody get it.
Erotic Mind. Sarah, put that in the comments there. And what's the author's name?
Jack Morin, I think it is. He's dead, but I think it's Jack Morin. But he's
left a legacy.
PhD psychologist, one of the best books on sex, and I've read them all. So one thing that saved our relationship was the 3 sexual styles that he lists, and these sexual styles are erotic trance, partner engagement, and role play, right? So partner engagement is like, you know, like a romance scene in the movies where it's like eye contact and, you know, the passion, and it's all about your partner. It's all about the heat between you and your partner. Now, erotic trance is what it sounds like. It's you're inside your own body, your eyes are closed, you know, you're kind of using your partner for sensation, but you're totally disconnected and focused on yourself, right? So it's important to know that no sexual style is better than the others. It is important for sexual mastery. Sexual mastery comes from mastering all three, right?
And the other thing I want to say with this is that, you know, anyone that's listening to this, most people when they listen to this initially, they'll say things like, well, you know, I think I'm all three. You're not. You're not. Yes, we all dabble in all three, but I promise you one is your primary. The other thing is, most people that are erotic trance don't realize they're erotic trance. They'll think they're partner engagement. So I was erotic trance when we met. Ben was partner engagement, and I didn't realize I was erotic trance. So what it really looks like often is that, you know, they're very into their own body, their own sensations, and typically people that are really good at erotic trance are very good at masturbating and getting themselves off. Partner engagement often needs something external, needs more external stimulus to come. So if their partner's not, one of the ways to know if your partner engagement is if your partner's not engaged with you, it's often harder to come. So those are things, because people don't often realize it's harder to get an erection, right? It's harder for a woman. If a woman's partner engagement and her partner's not making a lot of eye contact with her, it will be really hard for her to come. So these are just little identifying factors that because most people aren't aware of what they are.
Yeah, so when we first met,
I heard the two styles, but what's the third?
The third one's role play, so that's the fun one. Partner engagement is focused on the partner. Erotic trance is focused on the self, and role play is creating new identities altogether. Right? It's just being neither one of us. And
also encompasses things like sex in public or sex anything that's out of the ordinary.
Yeah. So when we first met, I was 100% partner engagement, had zero interest in erotic trance. It was all about how hot can my partner be, right? And Jen was totally into erotic trance because of sexual abuse. So partner engagement is good for intimacy and connection, not really good for knowing your own body, right? So we'd have sex and she wouldn't make eye contact with me or kiss me because it was a distraction for her, and it would, you know, she would lose her, you know, she'd get so close to orgasm and then lose it because I'd lose my erection because she wouldn't be kissing me or making out with me or looking at me, I mean. And so we had to, so once we kind of found an awareness of this, we'd have to cycle through, okay, quick, all right, back to partner engagement, right? Back. So she'd open her eyes and start making out with me, just long enough for me to
get my back to pee.
just get my boner back, and then okay, back to erotic trance, and then she's back inside, and I'd have to like beat the clock, right? It was like race against the clock, and then when we were both just too frustrated to be in each other's sexual styles, we went to role play. And that's where
role play was like, okay, we can both forget who we are. We can both imagine we're someone else. And, you know, role play was kind of our saving grace for a while because, you know, we would both get so frustrated initially, you know, when we realized what was happening. Another thing that we did was we would have an agreement before we would have sex. We would say, okay, tonight's your night, like tonight's partner engagement night. So I would practice partner engagement and Ben would get practice, you know, would obviously partner engagement is natural for him. And then the next night we'd say, okay, now it's erotic trance night. And so he would practice erotic trance. And eventually, you know, what happened with this is we both started mastering, right? Mastery is really just playing with all three sexual styles, right? So eventually with just playing with it, we mastered all three.
So now sometimes I think I'm erotic trance and she's partner engagement. It's like we've switched.
We can play, we can switch off, we can play back and forth. And this is a big part. And then of course, role play is always in the mix. And this is a big part of what keeps sex interesting for couples, because a lot of times when the sex falls apart, it's because people get bored, right? It gets very static, like people get in a routine, and sex is the same way every time.
This is where role play comes in. So
right.
Predictable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw the show Together, but there's a hysterical scene where the wife in the show is talking to her sister. And she's describing, we do this, and then we do this, and then he gets the pillow, and she says, gets the pillow. She's like, yeah, you know, to kind of prop me up, you know, just part of it. She knows that they're about to have actual intercourse. When he gets the pillow, you know, so, and I just laughed so hard, like we all have that routine of, okay, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. If you're not careful.
It's like the vacation movie. It's like the vacation movie where he gets the Yankee candle out.
Right, he got the Yankee candle out. Okay, get the candle out.
The new Griswold vacation movie gets the Yankee.
Terrible movie, but we thought that part was
Don't ever
funny.
watch it.
Don't ever watch it. We actually snuck into it on that day.
Yeah,
That's another
so
story.
we do a lot of traveling, and every hotel we go to, we make sure to.
Oh, we role play it up.
And you know, it's like we'll just be laying there, and I'll start whispering into her ear. I'll just say, "So, I'm a I don't know. I can't even think of it right now. It just comes out of my
one night
mouth.
it was like a chiropractor that wandered in my room and he gave me an adjustment. Like it makes 0 sense.
Oh,
It's
what
like,
are you doing in my room? Oh wait, I'm in your room.
oops,
Well, let me make it up to you
I'm
by
so embarrassed. I just
giving you
happen
a
to be
free
masturbating
adjustment.
right now. It's like,
Ours always starts with, I'm so
I'm
embarrassed.
so embarrassed.
That I'm naked.
Yeah, I mean, one night we had a role play that, you know, he was like an old married man, and I was a young college call girl. I mean, we just, you know, whatever.
I was putting her through college.
Yeah, you were putting me through college. I mean, it's
We have some friends that taught us this sexual archetype game, and you go through looking at what are the archetypes that you are not necessarily sexually, but just in life that you're either kind of locked in or locked out of. Looking at where you are, what archetype you're attracted to being, but it doesn't come naturally. What archetype you're attracted to being, but it does come naturally. And then what are the ones that you're not, the one that you're not attracted to, but it does come naturally.
Nice.
I'm sorry, and it doesn't come naturally. Until you identify each of these, and then, you know, when you look at the interaction between the two. So, for example, with Raj and I was the first one that it comes naturally, and I like it, was Jackie O. It comes naturally, but I don't like it, was Hillary Clinton.
Or the boss woman, that was the other.
And these were friends, by the way, giving these
these are different archetypes.
Yeah,
These are archetypes.
Oh,
So
I was thinking positions. I was like, wait, what
No, these are
position?
These are archetypes. Yeah, the Jackie O, no, I don't know that one.
Out of the room.
The archetype that I was, yeah, the archetype I was attracted to, but didn't come naturally, was the slut. And the archetype, that one they let me choose. And then the other one they assigned me, the archetype that I was not attracted to and did not come naturally, was the rape victim. And then Raj's were the healer, the Boy Scout, Jay-Z, and Sid Vicious.
Shit.
So what would it be like, you know, if the rape victim and the healer made love? And what is it like if Jay-Z and Hillary get down?
Oh, man, we're making movies now.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. That's fun. Oh, yeah.
And it's just a way of, like, really breaking up, you know, where are those dynamics that you're locked in and locked out. And, you know, another idea that just came up a few days ago is a playlist, a musical playlist. Someone was talking about making a playlist for sex. And then I thought, oh, well, what if you did shuffle on that playlist, and that every time the song changed, you changed to meet the mood of the song?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. There's so many ways that you spice it up. We get really stuck into the what becomes boring, and then it's not even that interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, what a fun date night. Make your playlist together. You know, you each pick your favorite 5 songs, whatever it is, put it on shuffle, and keep playing with the energies as they evolve. And speaking of that, you know, the last tip that we have up here, I know we're running a bit close towards the end, but this once-a-week date night and just in general maintenance, can you say how you apply that in your relationship and what you advise other couples?
Just, it goes back to what we already said before about putting it in the calendar, making it a priority, making our relationship a priority. I mean, there's nothing that, you know, says I don't really give a shit about you anymore, like we haven't been on date in 20 years. You know, and the thing is that, you know, people come to us and they're like, I don't even know how to touch my wife anymore. Like, I don't know how to reach out and hold her hand anymore, right? And so it's like this didn't just happen. This is something that happens every single day. You know, either moving apart one day at a time or moving closer one day at a time. So if 7 days goes by and we haven't had a date, then it's time to have another date and just bring it back together. Yeah, we try to have more than one a week, but, you know, we've got to...
One is on the calendar every week, and often we do end up with
And on that note of putting things in the calendar, I encourage those listening to really phrase it in a fun, inspiring way. You know, I have a lot of reminders that come up on my calendar all day long, and I just really make an effort to make them fun. So the date, you know, it'll come up with an alarm. You know, hot date with my man. Super satisfying, sexy time. You know, so it's not just, you know, that you're holding this time, but when you're actually getting those reminders, it comes up in a really fun way.
We
That's
actually
nice.
have
Or
something we're doing
or
right
set
now
each other's reminders.
with
Yeah, set each other's.
I
Yeah,
like
so it's
it,
a surprise.
Ben.
I'll
I
sometimes
like it.
change.
Set
I'll
each
change
other's
my contact
reminders.
info. I'll change my contact info on her phone. So right now it says Ben Ready, the sexiest man alive.
Oh yeah, he also sends me like sex. I call him sex. He'll sext me like even if we're working and we're like in different rooms or something, he'll like sext me in the middle of the day. Love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can't wait to not that I'm not enjoying this episode, but I can't wait to get off so that we can get off.
Get off so we can get off, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to get
Yeah,
off.
that happens after the show sometimes, for sure, for sure.
Great.
Well, we have a few minutes left, and we do want to share how people can find out more about explosive sexual healing and your Sovereign for You website. But any other closing remarks, you know, on any other tips for keeping the sex dirty beforehand?
Nope. Not unless you want to get started again.
Yeah,
I think, minutes.
you know, I think
I'm just
another.
trying to hold my
Another thing I was going to say is just have fun and be playful. Like, I was just rolling around on a stripper pole at Harry Potter Land. I created a stripper pole at Harry Potter Land today, you know? Like, just, like, have fun and be playful. You know, like what can you do to let your inner child play? Because I think that's a really important thing. So, you know, just thinking in that direction. Like, I spent probably 10 minutes on a stripper pole at Harry Potter Land today. You know, like, just stuff like that.
Yeah, when you play, you're vital and alive, and that's sexy and attractive. You feel attractive,
Yep.
and you become more attractive to your beloved as well.
Totally.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Totally.
So if you look at the slide we have up here, we have a URL for Ben and Jen, where you can. We'll let you say a little bit about what you can get here.
So our Sovereign You program is our weekly, it's a monthly membership program that we have, and we do weekly phone calls where Jen channels something awesome that's, you know, the cutting edge shit on the universe, you know, the universal planes, like what kind of information do we need right now? And, you know, you can tell we're having fun right now because that's what people need right now is to have more fun. And,
Yeah.
And so our call this morning was amazing. It's every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And this site will get you a free month.
Yeah, and so, yeah, and we also have live Q&A, so we answer your questions live. It's a huge, huge, huge value. We have a really active Facebook page, and this, yeah, like Ben was saying, this link gets you a totally free month. Totally free month.
We have 118 members right now, and they're all up to big things. Yep. Life partners on life purpose. They're women that are in partnerships and creating partnerships.
Yep.
And it's a really powerful group. And then you can also go to rodeinstitute.com, RODE-institute.com, just to find out more about us specifically. Explosivesexualhealing.com is about our healing modality. And
you know, if anyone's interested in I am doing a retreat in Sedona. It's a really, really great women's retreat. We're going to be doing a deep dive. We're going to be talking about reality creation. It's really deep, high level stuff. It's
5D business school.
Yeah, fifth dimensional business school. So how to do business in a way that's easy, that's fun, that's light. In the same way that we do our sex, you know, we do our business the same way. It's actually all interconnected. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that one.
Yeah, business should not be busyness.
Business
work
should not be
work.
It should be life purpose, and it should be fun, and it should be easy.
And most of the successful people that have been super successful either in 3D, which is like work business, or 4D of like my own business, my coaching business, right? Even the people that are super successful in life purpose 4D business they're miserable because they have way too much work, right? So 5D is you're done with the work, you don't work anymore, you just play.
Yeah, every
and
day
you make
for
more money. The more you play, the more sex you have, the more money you make. So there's a motivation for you.
Yeah, every day for Ben and I at this point is like a vacation, and it wasn't always that way. You know, we started out working a ton, so it's how to get there. So
We earned it.
So anybody that's interested in that, you can PM me via Facebook. Jen Rohde, Jen.
They're not going to be able to friend you, though.
They're not going to be able. They won't be able to friend me because I'm at my limit, but they can PM me.
I don't even know if they come through.
Great.
Find me at Ben Rohde, and
Easy here to get in touch with.
our team will get back to you.
BenRode. Cool.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're going to share, we have on the screen here, for those that are able to see the screen, that website, SOVU4 and also Relationship Fun and Games if you want to find out more about what's going on with Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV and our other offerings. We do have a couple of things we want to let you know about. You know, we have a lot of couples, they either say that they don't have time or they don't have money. So we have a few tips for you that we want to share. But first, here's Raj, give them a heads up for what's happening next week.
Yeah, so next week we're going to be moving into how to keep the fights clean, and we're going to look at as it starts. And we're going to be with Novelina and Jeremy Nichelle. These are two amazing people that we met about a couple of months ago, and they're up to big things in the world, and they're really committed to having an amazing partnership and helping others in doing that as well.
Yeah, so this is all about, you know, making sure that as the fight is starting, you know, as you're ramping it up, that you can actually pull the eject button, avoid that argument entirely. Not that you should never argue, but there's a lot of unnecessary arguments happening out there in the world. So we're going to be talking about some early alert systems for avoiding these unnecessary arguments so that you can put an end to all blaming, shaming, and complaining.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Whenever we take that on, even for an hour, our relationship completely shifts.
Yeah, so oftentimes you see that on-ramp to an upset coming, and you just can't help it, and you just steer right into it. This is going to be all about avoiding that, and so that very dynamic that is about this threatening to pull you apart can actually bring you together so that you have any argument you have actually creates more intimacy.
So join us next week at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and join us for an awesome show with Novelina and Jeremy.
And in the meantime, if you want to snap up some of our free resources, if you're not already a member of Relationship Fun and Games, the Relationship Reset Kit is available to you with our 4-part mini email course, our free guidebook, our 16-page guidebook on keeping the fights clean and the sex dirty, and of course our weekly interactive Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV shows and the replays for that.
And we'll have these URLs in our comment window, so that's that Get Free Gifts main. And then the next thing that we have is our ebook. So this ebook is awesome. It's a 60-page ebook called How to Keep the Fights Clean and the Sex Dirty, 5 Simple Solutions That Really Satisfy. And in this book, we go over a whole bunch of tips in all the different areas of fights clean and sex dirty.
And again, it's great if you read it cover to cover, but it's laid out so that you can just scan and find the tips. You know, as I say, it's like, you know, you're walking up an avenue. Do I want to go up this street? Do I want to go up that street? But find the tips and when they apply, just for what's going on in your life, in your relationship right now. And then very soon next week, we're going to have the fast track to keeping the fights clean and the sex dirty. Right now, you can only get 1 episode at a time, but in the near future, probably next week, we'll have this fast track, which has the best of all of the episodes from last year. It will have 1 from each of the 8 categories of topics, fights clean, sex dirty, before, as it starts, during, and after, and you'll be able to snap that up next week. When that's coming out, you can go ahead and click on this URL here that Sarah, our moderator, will put in the comments, and that's the fast track coming soon.
So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you in our future shows, or if you're watching replay, come and check out our other episodes on our Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV show's site.
Because as we've said, you know, life is too tough to do alone, but a crappy relationship is really worse than none at all. And while it might take a little something, a wonderful relationship, a playful, peaceful, passionate relationship is totally worth it. I mean, just look at Ben and Jen here. Doesn't it just make you want to crawl through the camera and jump around Universal Studios with them today? I'm like, I want to pole dance in the Harry Potter bar.
It looks like we may have lost them. Their battery may have died on their phone.
He did warn us that that might happen. Well, I'll have to let them know about that one. But thanks so much to Ben and Jen for joining us, and to all of you for joining us. Here's to you having that happy, healthy, and hot relationship. Let us know what else that you're challenged by and how we can support you, because we really love love, and we want you to have as much of it in your life as possible.
And remember, save being nasty
for your sex life. Good night.
Have a good night.